Hi. Somebody asked me about understanding space and our talking about, walking around and holding space for yourself. So there's a lot of different concepts to this, and so I want to just bring attention to the one that we probably least spend our time in, which is what they classify as the conscious space. It's a terminology. And the conscious space is a place outside where you visually see. Yep, we visually see a certain place in our life, and we visually walk around in a certain area in which we can visually see, and that's our space. And of course, unless you are a person that doesn't have sight, and then your conscious space is different because of your instinct inside your body and your hearing, everything else creates your conscious space by a different realm. But we're talking about, for this state, is our visual space for this idea of this particular concept. So wherever you are, it doesn't matter, I'm sitting outside at the moment, but for other people, you could be in an office, could be in your room, whenever you're watching this video, I'm not sure. And your conscious space will be to your computer, to the walls, to the windows, and you might be able to see out the windows. And your visual space goes out to the trees you can see or wherever you're sitting. And that's just about, and wherever you are right now, whatever your visual space is, that's your limit of the space outside of yourself that you're connecting with. Yep, it's the limit of the space you connect with is what you can see. Now, they've done studies and shown that most people actually only live about 6 meters in front of themselves, which is quite extraordinary. They walk around and their only focus is about 6 meters outside of themselves, and they don't look out. People don't generally look out, and they've done studies on this, which is extraordinary, as I said. So what we're trying to do, especially when it comes to Qigong, is we're trying to take this visual space out further out so we can see more, so we're aware more. But there's an easy way, of course, you have to do is just look up. When you're walking around, look up and don't look down. And as soon as you look up, you see a lot more anyway. And there's a great way of doing this. If you walk outside right now, and no matter where you are in your house or office, you walk outside and you look up in the distance, you'll see something in the distance you've never seen before because you don't look that far. And it's fascinating. You'll see a tree. Oh, there's a tree. I can see the mountain down the other end. And you've never noticed it. And you might have walked out inside of this place for, 20 years, and you've never noticed there's a big tree down the end of the driveway. You know it's down there because when you drive down, you drive under it. You know it's there, but from here you can actually see it. But you've never seen it before. So we're trying to have this awareness of space. And I say one of the key ones is just hold your head up and look out, which is always a good thing, but instead of looking down at 6 meters, let's look out. Our eyes only focus on about 20% of what we see. Everything else is blurry, by the way, if you didn't know that. They've done research on this. And there's a very small focal distance. And they say only coming out of one eye, by the way, too. The focus is only out of one eye. The other eye looks at the peripheral vision. And they communicate, they put a combination of those together to do that. So we want to take ourselves outside our visual distance, what we can see from the walls to the computer to out the windows, and that's limiting to what we see. We want to take our mind, our subconscious mind, outside that, outside what you can see with your eyes, and still be aware of it. Now, if I'm standing here, I'm standing in front of the house, I can take my mind, I know what's on the other side of the house. I know what's 50 meters on the other side of the house. I know if I go this way behind me, I've only got to go about 100 meters and I run into the sea. It's not that far away, and then I know that that's there. So my mind, even though I'm looking at you, talking to you, I can take my awareness to the sea behind me. I'm standing here in this place, and I'm aware the sea's right behind me, and I can be aware of that. I can be aware of the town and the country that's the country Sanua itself out here in front of me. I can be aware of that, I can be aware of the road. And I know there'll be cars going up and down the road. I can be aware of that, aware of the sea, aware of the houses either side of me. And I can stand here, even though I can only see the yard, my conscious space is out there. So I'm living in that big world, that space all the time. Instead of narrowing it down to this or just narrowing it down to being in yourself by yourself, the whole space just grows from the visual space that you can see into the conscious space outside of that. Now, how far can you go out? Well, that's just depending on your mind's ability to imagination. So if you go, I love looking at the stars, because what happens with the stars is that Mark told me how far the closest star was. Oh, it's hundreds of light years away. And so we can look out into the stars, and I do know the closest black hole is 13.5 billion light years away. You can look at the stars, and your conscious space is this huge realm of the unknown, and you just know how far away that is. My space is out there somewhere. My conscious space goes beyond what I can see. I can see the stars, but all it's doing is picking up the light from the stars, that light that's getting to my eyes, the light stops at my eyes, and that light's been traveling from the stars for hundreds of millions of light years. It's been traveling from the stars, and then it finishes at my eyes. I think that's extraordinary, isn't it? It's been traveling for millions of light years, and it stops at my eye. My eye takes in the light from that and goes no further. But it's been traveling through space that long and stops at me. How cool is that? Anyway, back to the conscious space. So there's the conscious space. Our conscious space is our awareness around us, and we can grow that. We can take it out a kilometre out. We can take it 10 kilometres out and be aware about what it looks like 10 kilometres out at sea. I know there's an island out there. Now I'm in the island now because it's only 10 k's out. And I'm aware of the island out there inside my space. I have this huge awareness of this piece of property that I'm part of. Not only what I can see, but what I can see beyond that with my mind, my conscious awareness. And that. And what I want you to do after you take your mind out there is go outside and go for a walk and be aware of that conscious space and walk, and you feel like you're walking in it and you know you're miles out there and you feel like you're walking around in your own conscious space. It's a very cool experience. Don't limit ourselves to the small place where we can see. Take ourselves, our conscious out into a bigger place, bigger picture, and have an experience what it feels like to be in that space, and you being the centre of when you walk around, it walks around, and you walk around in your own space with it, and you become the centre of it all the time. Where it walks, you're still the centre of your space. It's like if it's 100 k's around you, when you walk, no matter where you walk, it's still 100 k's around. It just comes with you. It doesn't go away. And be aware of that. Try that for the day. Try that experience. As I say, go outside after you've thought of this and you've gone out that far, and walk outside and be aware of it and see what it feels like. It's a very unique experience. Have a beautiful day and don't limit yourself, shall we? Just see that our potential of who we really are as a human being is just enormous, and we limit ourselves by our senses sometimes. Yep. Well, our visual senses anyway. Have a beautiful day, eh? Just bow. We're just bowing to bow. We're going to bow. Gong. Very cool. Be cool, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Go for a walk. Go and take that field out and experience what it feels like to walk around in it that big and be part of something that big and feel what it feels like. It's very, very cool. Bye-bye.